The concept of a morph body is that if you're short by birth, you're pleased about it, and if you're tall by birth, you're happy about it. You accept things as they are and make the most of them. We struggle with the word acceptance because it seems defeatist and resigned, yet Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, claimed that we must learn to cultivate the art of acquiescence. We'll discuss the potent Stoic idea of Amor Fati in today's episode. Accepting the things that happen to us is actually the first step in being able to respond to them and make them into something. I'm Ryan Holiday, and I've written several books about Stoic philosophy. I've also discussed it with sitting senators, NFL players, and special forces leaders. In today's episode, we'll discuss that Amor Fati, which is embracing and accepting the things that have happened to you and the situations you find yourself in, not because you're passive or resign, but because it's the first step in making something great. Thomas Edison, America's most successful inventor, is having dinner with his family when a man rushes into the burning factory. When Edison arrives on the scene, he discovers his life's work in flames, and his son is standing there in shock. What does Edison say? He tells them to get their mother and all of her friends so they won't ever see a fire like this again. Some people believe he has gone insane, but he actually repeats a line from a Kipling poem about triumph and disaster. Edison treats these two impostors the same way because he understands, as a Stoic does, that some things are simply beyond our control and that no amount of whining, complaining or crying will change them. However, we do have control over how we react, and that is what Edison does. The following day he tells a reporter, "I've been through stuff like this before. It prevents an old man from getting bored and he starts rebuilding. In fact, he takes out $1 million loan from Henry Ford, and in 6 weeks it's partially back up and running in 6 months. It's fully operational, and the third act of Edison's life is rebuilding after this disaster. And I want you to think about that as well. That's the idea, that you'll never see something like this again, but you can at least appreciate its absurdity and surreal beauty. After that you can say, this keeps me from getting bored. Now I'm going to get back to work, and I'm going to turn this into something." Epictetus states that you have the option to accept things as they are or to wish for them to turn out a certain way. In other words, this is the discipline of assent for the Stoics. It basically means that whether you accept the injustices of the world as a whole or not, you are happy that it is raining if it is cloudy, happy that it is cloudy if it is sunny and hot, or happy that it is raining. You're happy that it's sunny and hot. If you're born short, you're happy that you're short. If you're tall, you're happy that you're born tall. You accept things as they are, you make the most of it. This is what the idea of Amor Fati is. Accepting, be happy that things are the way that they are, that you were given what you've been given, and then get to work using it. That's what Stoicism is about. The Stoics were really big on acceptance. And acceptance is a scary word to ambitious people because we didn't get where we are by accepting the status quo or by resigning ourselves to things. But to the Stoics, this acceptance of external events, of things that are outside of our control, was the first step in moving forward and using them in some way. And so there's a Latin phrase that the Stoics were fond of, and it's amore fati, and it translates to a love of fate, not just acceptance, but an embracing of those circumstances, whatever they may be. And so for Marcus Aurelius, he said that what you throw in front of a fire is fuel for the fire, and that's the image that they thought about for good and bad events. When we look back on the bad things that have happened to us in life, with enough time, with enough distance, we come to accept them, maybe even feel grateful for them. We know that without those things, the breakup or the failure or the embarrassing mistake or the accident, we wouldn't be where we are now. But in that moment, that was the furthest thought from our mind. We were fighting it, we were resenting it, we were wishing it was otherwise. If later you're going to feel good about it, if later you're going to give yourself that gift, Why delay it? Why not give it to yourself? Now practice the art of acquiescence. Don't resent it, don't fight it, accept it for what it is. And understand, even if you can't see it in this very moment in the end, you will come to see this as a positive. You will come to see it as good. You will come to see it as a thing that made you who you are, and how it couldn't have been anything different. It's been a rough year, like just a rough year for everyone. But Marcus realized at the end of his life, he was as he was facing D. You've had to endure. He was trying to buck himself up to go, of course you can get through this. Think of all the things that you've gotten through in your life, and that's what you have to think about with what you're going through today. Big and small, you've been through things like this before. You can get through this. You've gotten through worse. And when you know that it helps you, that when Edison's factory burns down, he says, I've been through things like this before. He's like, it's going to prevent me from getting bored. I'm going to use this. And that's what a Stoic does. They use their past experiences to inspire and motivate them and give them confidence for whatever it is that they're having to face right now. Amor Fati coin. Yes, which is the notion that it's also a niche phrase that describes how to sort of love everything that happens to you without fighting against it or resenting it. Not holding a grudge or burden, but rather accepting it and seeing the positive aspects of it. Well, how does that fit into our human nature? Well, it doesn't, because it's not natural to us. Our natural frame and starting position is that when something bad happens, why do I feel like I have a grievance? Much of what I discuss in this book is about overcoming some of these inherent aspects of human nature, turning them around, and using them in a different way. Amor Fati is particularly effective in helping you learn to accept everything that occurs. For Nietzsche, it was like this. This is life. Life involves pain. Life involves adversity. You're going to die one day, and it's not going to be pleasant. Your friends and family members are going to die one day, and it's not going to be pleasant. You're going to have failure in life. People are going to hurt you. But that is life. That's what it is. It's easy to talk about Amor Fati, especially when you're talking about how I'm going to love that my plane is delayed, or that you know there's some printer issues in my book or something. How have you tried to practice being Amor Fati after recovering from a stroke? It's like you were writing a book about Stoicism and overcoming obstacles along the way, and then you were robbed. Well, I had a stroke, and it's like the ultimate test for me, because I'm someone who's very independent and physically active, and suddenly I can't use the left side of my body and I'm totally dependent. The initial reaction is the natural one. Oh man, damn, why this had to happen. This is so unfair, why me? You know, if only I could just keep swimming and doing my life the way it was. I'm so upset, and I talk in the book, your natural reactions. You don't have to fight them. You have to go take the next step, which is the next day, after you've gone through. This is to analyze your own emotions and why you're feeling that way. So I've had to go through that process, and it's actually been extremely powerful for me. I have to retrain my body every day. I have to learn how to use my fingers again like a baby, and I'm learning how the mind works. I'm learning about patience and frustration, about my own limits. And I can't necessarily say I love my stroke. I think that would be false of me to say something like that. I don't love that this happened, but I've accepted it, and I've discovered how it can make me a better and stronger person. I hope you like this video. I hope you subscribe. But what I really want you to subscribe to is our daily Stoic email. 1 bit of Stoic wisdom totally for free to the largest community of Stoics ever in existence. You can sign up at dailystoic.com email. I enjoy sending it. For the past 6 years, I've sent it daily. There is no spam, and you can unsubscribe at any time. I hope to see you there at